You've been learning English pronunciation for a long time, but you feel you're not improving anymore. You've reached the dreaded plateau.
No.
If that sounds familiar, then this video could be the difference between good and great pronunciation. But a word of warning, if you're looking for something easy peasy lemon squeezy, then this video isn't it. It'll take work and effort. Let's look at how a knowledge of word history can help you recognize patterns in English words, and that will help you decipher the pronunciation of words you don't know. For example, how do you pronounce this word? Or this one? Or this one? Or this one? Stay tuned to see if you got it right. And why do we say breakfast and not breakfast? Well, we do say breakfast when you're on the highway and you need to stop because a moose jumps out in front of your car. But the morning meal is breakfast. English spelling is irregular, but perhaps not quite as much as you think. You might be surprised to know that there are rules, but they're just a bit complicated. For most languages, the way words are written closely matches how they are spoken, but that only works in English for about 70% of the words. So it's still very important to learn all the pronunciation stuff that you normally do with a language, like the phonetics, how to distinguish between sheep and ship and bitch and beach and chair and share. But then there is the next level, the expert level. And let's start with the first one. Hold on to your hats. And that is trisyllabic laxing, or bisyllabic laxing, or monosyllabic laxing. What? See, I told you it wasn't going to be a walk in the park, but it's not that bad, I promise. This is it in simple terms, where the vowel in a stressed syllable is shortened if two syllables follow, okay? Or sometimes if one syllable follows, or sometimes when no syllables follow. And that can happen, for example, when you have a base verb and the vowel changes from a long vowel to a short vowel in the past tense or an adjective. Don't worry, I'm going to give you lots of examples, and after that you'll be able to work it out for yourself. Let's start with short words, and these words you should already know at your level. Write, written, bite, bitten, child, children, dine, dinner. The long I sound becomes an I. Can you do the next few? Divide, division. Very good. Line, you got it? Linear. Title, what do you think? Titular. Now, a word about the history. This process started in Old English about 1,000 years ago and was expanded during the period of Middle English. And there are lots of other factors affecting English pronunciation over the last 1,000 years, including the famous Great Vowel Shift, which we won't discuss today. So there are lots of exceptions and irregularities, but you can still recognize patterns. This video focuses on the past and how you can use a knowledge of word history to improve your pronunciation. But don't let that give you the impression that I'm not aware of what's going on right now and of new technology that you can use to improve your English. And that links nicely to today's sponsor, Elsa Speak, that uses AI to help you improve your pronunciation. Speak to Elsa and it'll rate your English pronunciation and correct your mistakes. It's like having a native speaker right next to you. Instead of talking about it, let me demonstrate. Now, I'm having a conversation with Elsa that focuses on WH questions. And the next thing I have to say is,
"Hi, Matt. Which desk is yours?"
now, let's make some deliberate mistakes. I'm going to say the WH as a V sound and the Y as a J, both fairly common mistakes. Now, let's see what happens. Hi, Matt. Which desk is yours? Ooh, 75%. As you can see, it's picked up where I'd made the mistakes. I can get more information if I want by clicking on it. Moving forward, I've learned the lesson, and now I'm going to try again with my good pronunciation. Let's see if I can do better this time. Hi, Matt. Which desk is yours? Oh, 94%. And it's not just pronunciation. Elsa Speak has more than 1,600 lessons and more than 40 topics so that you can improve your vocabulary and all aspects of pronunciation. And with Elsa Speak, you don't need to study alone. It also has a community feature where you can add friends and ask for help by posting your questions. There are 2 links in the description, or use the QR code on the screen. One lets you download Elsa and get a free 7-day pro membership, and the other link gives you an exclusive 40% off a 1-year membership and 85% off a lifetime membership, saving you $400. Thank you for Elsa Speak for sponsoring this video. Let's look at EA words, or rather, the base verb has an E sound, and the verbs derived from it, that could be a past tense or an adjective or a noun, have an E sound. Let's look at some examples and then you can work out the pronunciation for yourself. Focus closely, remember, on the sounds. Don't be fooled by the spelling. To mean, meant, to lean, lent, to leave, left, to sleep, slept, to heal, your turn, to heal, health, read, read, in the past tense, to feel, felt, to kneel, knelt, deep, depth. I know the P and the th together are difficult, but we're focusing on the vowels at this moment. Deal, dealt, eat, ate, although some people nowadays say ate, although traditionally in British English it's ate. To please, how do you think? A point if you said pleasant. Very good. Steal, how do you say that? We looked at it at the beginning of the video. Stealth, very good. Clean, cleanse. And what about this word? Cleanliness, very good. Cleanliness I've had so many times, but no, it's cleanliness. And break, but breakfast. This is a bit of an exception because break, the pronunciation has changed. Until the 16th or 17th centuries, it used to be breek. Same with great, as in fantastic, used to be pronounced greet. Okay, same vowel as in meat. But so it does sort of fit into that pattern, break, but breakfast. Now, let's look at some words ending in ity, because they very often follow this pattern. And so you have, for example, serene, and the E sound becomes an E. Serene, serenity. Solemn, solemnity. Now you try. Extreme, extremity. Obscene, obscenity. Other vowels are affected by this process too. The A vowel becomes an A vowel. So sane becomes sanity. Chaste, okay, your turn. What do you think? Chaste becomes chastity. Profane becomes profanity. Pair becomes parity. Can we do some more? Mobile becomes, okay, the I becomes an I. Mobile becomes mobility. Divine becomes, what do you think? Divinity. Senile becomes senility. Fragile becomes fragility. And that's just a taste. There are other patterns. For example, that's why we have holy, but holiday, south, but southern, school, scholar, good, gospel, and many more. Of course, there are still lots of irregular spellings, and I'm sure you can find many exceptions to the examples I gave. But it's a quick guide that will leave you less frustrated by the apparent anarchy of English spelling and pronunciation. So now let's move on to part 2. About 40% of English words come from French. I'm not going to go into all the details about how to recognize French words, but here is a list of some of the prefixes and suffixes of words in English with French origin. And I'm sure if you speak any Romance language, you'll recognize them easily. Let's just look at one example. Problem in English, we get the word from French, but ultimately it comes from Latin. And I think before that it comes from Greek. Look at these two lists and you tell me the difference. Remember, we're thinking here about the history of English words. Apply, decide, compare, create, include, react, progress, borrow, gather, hammer, sparkle, strengthen, stumble, wonder. That's list 2. Can you see the difference between the two lists? Well, list 1 are words of French origin, and the stress is on the second syllable. The second list are words of Anglo-Saxon origin or Old Norse origin, and the stress is on the first syllable. Now it's your turn. With your knowledge of word history, where is the stress on these verbs? To direct, to elbow, to answer, to reduce, to whisper, to control. So you see the two-syllable verbs of French origin are on the second syllable. The Anglo-Saxon verbs, the stress is on the first syllable. Be careful, there are quite a few exceptions to the rule, as you would expect in English. So for example, promise is from French, but the stress is on the first syllable, and forgive is from Anglo-Saxon and the stress is on the second syllable. But this is useful, isn't it? And do you want more? Now look at this list of two-syllable words of French origin. On the left are the nouns, on the right are the verbs. Did you know that French origin words change their pronunciation depending on whether they are verbs or nouns? Okay, let's see. I'll do the first one. You can follow. Okay, the noun, conduct. The verb, to conduct. Conflict, to conflict. A contract, to contract. A decrease, to decrease. An escort, to escort. An impact, to impact. An insult, to insult. A permit, to permit. Progress, to progress. I hope you're progressing. Project, to project. Reject, to reject. Subject, to subject. Part 3. The Greek CH. How do you pronounce the CH in English? Look at this list. In English, when you see a CH in a word, it could be pronounced ch, sh, or k. Fortunately, there is a way of knowing how to pronounce it, although it does require a bit of knowledge of word history. Native English words are pronounced ch, such as church and children. Words that come from French but have been in English so long that they have been nativized are also pronounced ch. Think of chance and chase. French words that have entered English more recently are pronounced sh. Think of chivalry, chic. The French word chef has been borrowed by English twice, once from Old French, so it's pronounced chief, and once more recently, although with a different meaning, so it's pronounced chef, as it is in French. With words of Greek origin, the CH is pronounced as a K sound. This list has architect and chaos. Now you can do the next list. So the first one, anarchy, chrome, chemistry, psychology, orchestra, stomach, chasm, anchor. Did you get them correct? That was pretty easy, wasn't it? And finally, schedule, or is it schedule? Schedule is a special case. Traditional British pronunciation is schedule because we took it from French. But American lexicographer Noah Webster noted that the French word came from Greek, and that's why Americans say schedule. If you want to know more on the history of the English language and how it can help you improve your English, then do sign up to my newsletter. The link is in the description. And why not watch this video next?